Your mother's water breaks 3 weeks early in a private clinic just outside Rome. Within minutes, the entire maternity ward becomes a secure zone. Carabinieri at every entrance. Plainclothes agents in the hallways. The doctor delivering you has been vetted by intelligence services. Your first breath happens under armed guard. Giorgia Meloni won the election when she was already your mother, which means you entered a world that was waiting for you with cameras, protocols, and security briefings about an infant. The photographer capturing your first day will sell those images to publications across Europe. You're 16 hours old when your face appears on the front page of Corriere della Sera. 1 million people see you before you've opened your eyes properly. You don't live in a government palace. Italy doesn't work that way. But your apartment building in Rome's center transforms overnight. Concrete barriers appear on the street. Neighbors get questioned by security. A normal residential building becomes something else entirely because you sleep on the 4th floor. The agents assign you a code name when you're 5. Falco, Little Falcon. You think it sounds cool until you realize it's not a pet name. It's tactical language. There are people whose entire job is making sure nothing happens to Falco. Not because they know you, but because the contingency plan requires it. That's when it clicks. You're not just a kid. You're a protectable asset. School isn't simple. Your parents choose a private institution near Villa Borghese. On your first day, metal detectors get installed. Parents of other students receive security briefings. Your teacher has to submit lesson plans in advance because someone needs to ensure nothing politically sensitive gets discussed around the Prime Minister's child. Birthday parties require 2 weeks' notice, not for catering, for background checks. Other kids don't know how to act around you. Some want to be your friend because their parents told them to. Others avoid you entirely because their parents hate your mother's politics. Nobody just treats you like another 6-year-old. You're 7 when you learn the most important rule. You're at a classmate's house and you mention something your mom said about European Union policy at breakfast. Completely casual. By evening, it's a headline. The parents didn't mean harm. They were just excited to have insider information. But you learn fast. Every word you say can become public. Nothing is ever just between you and someone else. At 9, you start appearing at events. Not because you want to, but because Italian politics loves family imagery. Your mother needs someone small and innocent-looking standing beside her when she meets with foreign ministers. You learn which fork to use at state dinners before you learn algebra. You shake hands with people who control economies while your classmates are still picking their noses. She calls it cultural education. You call it unpaid work. Social media finds you at 12. You make the mistake of searching your mother's name on Twitter after she makes a controversial immigration decision. 40 minutes later, you're staring at your bedroom ceiling wondering why strangers feel comfortable saying things about your family that you wouldn't say about your worst enemy. You bring it up at dinner. She barely looks up from her plate. It comes with the position, she says. You haven't even picked a position, you just exist. But somehow that's enough for thousands of people to have opinions about your worth as a human being. You find one escape: online gaming. Behind a headset, you're just another player. For 3 years, your closest friend is someone from Naples who has no idea who you really are. He calls you trash at FIFA. It's the most honest relationship you've ever had. Your first girlfriend lasts 6 weeks. Not because you fought, not because you lost interest, but because tabloid photographers follow her to school. Her parents' voting history gets pulled up by journalists. Political commentators debate whether she's from an appropriate family. She can't handle it. Neither can you, really. But she's the one who ends it. That's when you understand the real cost. Everyone who gets close to you inherits your cage. At 15, you attend a memorial service for a police officer killed in the line of duty. You stand in the back while your mother gives a speech. The widow looks at you for just a moment. You don't know what that look means. Blame, sympathy, expectation. You're there because the Prime Minister's family was invited. Declining wasn't an option. Everyone promises college will be different. That's still 2 years away. But you're already wondering if different is even possible when your last name opens every door before you can knock. You choose Bocconi. Milan feels far enough from Rome that maybe, just maybe, you can build something separate. The Secret Service equivalent doesn't follow you the same way American agents would, but there's still a protective detail. Discreet, but present. Your roommate gets a background check that takes 6 weeks. Professors recognize your name on the roster before the first class. Some treat you carefully, like you're made of glass and political consequences. Others overcompensate, grading you harder to prove they're not showing favoritism. That's still favoritism, just the inverted kind. You make friends, but there's always a barrier you can feel but can't see. They edit themselves around you. They're careful about what they say, what they post, what they invite you to, and you get it. One photo at the wrong party could become a headline about the Prime Minister's daughter's questionable associations. The equality requires both people to have the same amount to lose. You'll never be equal with your peers because their Saturday nights don't come with political risk assessments. At 20, you start thinking about what comes next. Every option has already been defined by who your mother is. Politics? You'll be compared to her forever. Every speech measured against her rhetoric. Every policy position analyzed as either loyalty or rebellion. Private sector? They'll say you're cashing in on the family name, that every job offer is really about access to Palazzo Chigi. Nonprofit work, reputation management, art. Nobody will take it seriously. The cruelest part is that you can't even complain about it without sounding ungrateful for advantages most people will never have. 22 arrives with a question you never expected. The security detail asks if you want to continue protection. It's optional now. You can keep the agents or walk away. It's the first real choice anyone's given you about your own safety. You stand there not knowing how to answer because you've never existed without someone watching. You have no memory of that version of life. You try it. An apartment in Milan. Your name on the lease. No agents outside. No cameras in the corridor. You walk in and nobody's there. You sit on the floor because the furniture hasn't arrived and you wait for something to happen. Nothing does. That's when you realize you don't know what to do with silence. Your entire life has had a low hum of security presence. Silence was supposed to feel like freedom. Instead, it feels like a room you don't know how to fill. At 28, you meet someone who doesn't need explanations. His father was a regional governor. He grew up understanding what it means to share a parent with the public. You fall carefully, the way you've learned to do everything. It helps that he gets it. But understanding doesn't fix the fundamental problem. Some things you'll never be able to share. There's a memory you carry alone. Age 7, maybe 8. You wake up thirsty, head downstairs in Palazzo Chigi. Your mother is sitting at the kitchen table, head in her hands. No staff, no advisors, just her. You'd never seen her like that. She never showed weakness to anyone. You went back to bed without making a sound. You've never told anyone about that moment. Not because it's a secret, but because it's the only completely private thing you have of her. You visit her on a random Thursday, and no event, no occasion. She opens the door herself wearing reading glasses. The apartment is quiet in a way government buildings never are. You have coffee and she asks about your life in the same measured tone she uses with diplomats. Careful, controlled, slightly distant. You wonder if she remembers how to be just a mother, or if she lost that somewhere in the years of being everyone's prime minister. You're the prime minister's daughter. You had a security code name before you understood what security meant. You grew up in buildings that belonged to Italy, not to you. At 22, the protection ended, and you discovered you didn't know what silence sounds like. At 28, you still carry the name. It opens doors, creates expectations, precedes you into every room. Maybe you'll build something separate from her legacy, and maybe you won't. Either way, the first line of anything written about you is already decided. You're living inside a story that started before your first breath and has no clear ending. Every day, you're the most recognized and least understood person in the room. You think about what freedom actually means when you've never had it to begin with. Real freedom, not the kind that comes with security briefings and background checks. The kind where your mistakes are just mistakes, not national news. Where your relationships are just relationships, not political liabilities. Some nights you wonder what it would have been like to grow up as anyone else. To have a mother who was just a mother, not a symbol. To attend a birthday party without advanced security clearance. To date someone without their entire family history becoming public record. But then you remember that 7-year-old version of yourself, seeing your mother alone at that kitchen table with her head in her hands. That moment taught you something most people never learn. Power has a price, and the people who pay it aren't always the ones who chose it. You didn't choose this life. The cameras were waiting before you took your first breath. The security protocols existed before you had a name. But somewhere along the way, you stopped asking why this happened to you and started figuring out what to do with it. Maybe that's the point. You're not defined by being the Prime Minister's daughter. You're defined by what you build despite it. The life you create in the margins, in the quiet moments between headlines, the relationships that survive the pressure, the version of yourself that exists when nobody's watching. And that's the person nobody writes about. And maybe that's exactly who you're meant to be.